I don't know if you guys should stand up for this or sit down, but I got some big news to tell you guys. Okay, first of all, let me turn the air on in here because it is so stinking hot out. It's unbelievable. Okay, so I want to tell you guys a story, and then I have a lot of other stories that go along with this story building up to what happened to me at work today. So, and again, I wasn't planning on doing a vlog today. I was going to go to work, do my job, come home, and relax. That was it. First of all, if you're wondering why am I doing this in the car, because I have some family members at home and they're taking a nap right now. It's the middle of the afternoon. Some of them are sick and they're taking a nap. And I'm going to be really energized in this video and I don't want to wake them up. So I'm going to do this in the car. So, out of respect. So, okay. Here's what happened today. And this is a big revelation. That's the best way I could describe it. That I had with the man and dog today. And this is, guys, I'm not kidding. This is huge. I didn't expect this to happen to me today. I didn't plan on this. And I've been reflecting on this all day. Just thinking about the past and events that have sprung from this, from my childhood. It all makes sense. I have had millions of questions. I'm exaggerating. Tons of questions about the man and dog. When it comes to their names, why they look that way, the hats they used to wear. I mean, I was a little kid, you know. It was the 90s, and I was a little kid. Well, today, almost all my questions got answered. Story time. This morning, I went into Wonderland Pier to do my usual morning maintenance route. Now, for those who don't know, morning maintenance is pretty much, you go in the morning, you take care of the trash, you sweep the pier up, you make sure everything looks nice and good for when we open. So that's what I was doing early in the morning. I got there about a half hour before I'm supposed to be there, and I thought to myself, I got some time. Let me try to work on Bubba one last time before I talk to the electricians. I'm actually trying to get in contact with a guy out in Deptford at the Deptford Chuck E. Cheese to try to get him to come over here to take a look at him. Because I know it's a wire issue. I know that's what it's not the air pressure. It's an electrical issue. So I said, I have some time before I clock in. Let me go up and take one last look at him. So I go up there, taking a look at him, trying to figure it out. Still didn't get anywhere. But something else happened. Now, for those who don't know, and I'll be brief about this, that huge box that sits behind Bubba, it's the one that says ship to Wells Fargo, Dakota Territory, USA. Inside that box, that is where all the controls for the man and dog are and have always been. Since the very beginning, when we first got them in the 1990s, that's where it's always been. Now, I have been in this box many times over the last 5 years. Many times. So, I open up the box because I gotta mess around with the volume a little bit, because that's where the volume knobs are, that's where the cables are that hook up to all the characters to make them move, and a lot of stuff has to be done back there. So I went back there to try to turn the volume down. Now, when you open up the back of that box, there are shelves in there, and that's where we have different audio equipment on these shelves. Now, like I've said, I've been in this box many times, but I never noticed this before. I opened up the box, and on the top shelf, all the way in the back corner, was something sitting there. And this has been sitting there for about 22 years. It was covered in dust. 22 years of dust covered in it. It was like that thick, the dust. Wiped it off. And I have it with me. But this is no surprise. It is the CD that we used to play for the Man and Dog. This is the CD, okay? And I've actually seen this before. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this. I'm going to get to the big thing in just a minute, because I got to build up to this, of how big a revelation this was, okay? About 5 years ago, when Dan and I were putting the 90s stuff on them the first time, back in 2014, 2015, we did a video about it, bringing back the 90s. We actually went to the managers at the time, and one of them had this CD. And he gave it to me, and he said, Andrew, I'm pretty sure you're going to appreciate this. Here's something for your iPod. You know, he was kidding around with me, pretty much. But then he followed that up by saying, just don't put it on the Music Express iPod. Don't do that. And I said, no, not going to do that. Obviously not. Could you imagine? So I've had this CD for quite some time, but this was another copy. So it turns out that the version... Okay, so let me explain. In the 90s... we used to play the CD. That was how the songs were played. You put a quarter in, and that's how the CDs were played. Now, in 2000, when our peer artist put new fur on them, and he put the suits on them, and Henrietta in the red dress, we transferred the CD to a flash drive, and the flash drive is what we've been using since 2000, okay? So we haven't been using the CD in 20 years, pretty much. But it's been sitting there the whole time. So the one I got from the managers wasn't the one we've been using. It was a copy. This is the real one that we've been using because it was sitting in there. Obviously, this is the real one. But there's something I've noticed here. 5 years ago when I got the copy, because the copy looks just like this. It's the same thing. If you notice, there's a little date under here. It's going to be hard to see it. It's kind of hard to see it. If you guys can see it there, it says 7/20/98. It's hard to see. It's kind of out of focus. But there's a date on here. And it says 7/20/98. So July 20th, 1998. And I saw that, and my first thought was, well, wait a minute. What does that mean? Because they weren't installed in 1998, because I have pictures of myself standing in front of them in 1997. And I know they were taken in 97 because my mom dated all of our pictures. On the back of the picture, it says, Andrew, 4.5 years old, Man and Dog, summer 97. So, they were there in 1997. So, what does this date mean? July 20th, 98. So, I just let it go. I didn't think too much about it. Well, here's what happened. After I grabbed this CD that was all the way in the corner of the box, there was something else that was sitting in there. And I grabbed that as well. And before I tell you what it is, let me tell you another story. And trust me, this is all building up. Now, I want you, all the Man and Dog fans who are watching this, because I know you guys are loyal. You guys come to the pier, you guys love it, you guys love the videos. Great, I can relate, okay? But think about the audio tracks. If you've seen the Man and Dog show, you've seen all 7 songs. Think about this. We know the names of the characters, most of them. The Man and Dog, we don't know their names. That's why they're called the Man and Dog. I know a lot of people would like to call them Pasquale and Jasper, but no, they're not. They're different characters. I know they used to be that before, but different characters. We know Henrietta's name because Rocky confirms that. And we kind of know the Panda Bear's name is Rocky because they say, right before they sing one of the songs, we are Rocky and the Railroad Ramblers. But we call them the Man and Dog because it's a lot zippier. But anyway, let's get to Bubba for a minute. Yeah, that's his name, but think about the audio tracks. Do you ever hear anyone ever call him that in the show? Do you ever hear him say that name? Like, greet himself to the guests who put money into this thing? No, you don't. You don't hear that. This is something that has been baffling me since I was 8 years old. 8. Because when I was little, in the 90s, I was 4, 5, 6 years old, 97 through 99. And I would always tell my parents, I want to go see the Man and Dog. I want to go see the Man and Dog. And they knew exactly what that meant. And occasionally when we were up there, my dad would say, we're going to see Rocky and Bubba sing. And my dad would say, his name is Bubba. Well, once I turned 8, 9, 10, I got a little bit older, I would have this conversation with my dad from time to time. Dad, how do you know his name is Bubba? He doesn't say that. Nobody else introduces him that way. We know Henrietta is her real name. That's been confirmed, but we don't know if that's really his name. And he goes, and he would tell me this all the time. He would say, Andrew, when we went up there in the 90s, I remember putting the quarter in, and I remember him saying his name. And I said, Dad, first of all, I know the whole show left and right. So maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you... Because my dad doesn't know the show inside and out. I do. I was the one that was paying attention. My dad kind of knows what they say and what they sing, but he doesn't really pay attention to it. I'm the one that's paying attention. And he never really... I said, maybe you misunderstood a word that sounded like that, and maybe you're calling him like that. And he goes, no, I remember. They would introduce all of themselves as who they were, and Bubba would say his name, and Rocky would talk to him occasionally. And I said, Dad, that doesn't happen. They don't say that. And he would say, yes, they do. And I said, no, they don't. And he'd go, yes, they do. And I would say, no, they don't. Yes, they do. They did. Okay, let me explain. This explains so much. This date, 7/20/98, guys, what we've been listening to since 7/20/98, the Man and Dog show that we all know, we've been listening to an edited version of this. This is the full show. There are conversations here that are not on this. Henrietta has a whole story that she tells before they start singing Gonna Get Along Without You Now. There are conversations between Rocky and Bubba in between songs. And yes, they say their names. And the biggest mystery of all throughout my childhood, the Man and Dog have names. And they say them in here. But they were edited out of this version. So we never got to hear their names. But my dad was right. My dad was right. But think about it. Why would they edit this? Why would they do that? Well, this makes perfect sense. They obviously, the show that we all know, since July 20th of 1998 onward to now, they must have edited this, and the only explanation I can think of is this. In 1997, so pre-98, the full show was playing. This show had to be playing the full thing because my dad heard them say his name. Because how else would my dad know that that Bubba is the character's name? How else would he have known that? You wouldn't have known that by the show that they've been singing for the last 22 years, but on this show, you would. So they played this. They did. A long time ago, maybe for one summer or 2 summers. And I was only 3, 4 years old. My memory doesn't go back that far. I was a little kid. My memory doesn't start kicking in until 98, 99, which is what I know here. But there was stuff that was... There were things that they said, that all the characters said, that were edited out, that were replaced here with this song and changed with that song. And this... Okay. This is a lot to take in for me because this caught me completely by surprise because I saw this CD and I said, what is this? So after I was done working, popped the CD in the CD player, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe it. I thought I knew the whole show all these years. I had no idea. But here's why I think they edited it. Now take a look. On the CD, it's split up into 3 different tracks, CD tracks: Request, Wonderland, and The Gang. Now, on Request, on the first track, it's the first 3 songs. Rocky Top, Your Cheating Heart, and Cotton Eye Joe. And in between, they have conversations. It's like a whole show. So that would mean... And Wonderland, the second track, that's Country Roads and Get Along Without You Now. And then The Gang, track 3, is Thank God I'm a Country Boy and Mockingbird Hill. So that means that before 98, when they were doing this show, it would cost $0.25 for 3 songs. And then $0.25 for 2 songs. You get a whole show. I think what they did, they went to Sally Corp, who controls all this, who makes the shows, and I think they said, we want to have it down to $0.25 one song. That's what I think they did, because here it's 7 tracks, which is what we know, all 7 songs. But the dialogue got mixed around. Like, for example, on this one, they don't play the drum roll at the end of every song or at the beginning of every song. You don't hear the banjo riff at the end of this song or that song. There's been some dialogue that's been moved around a little bit. So it's a whole new thing. And, do you guys want to hear what the man and dog's names are? You ready? You ready for this? Okay. It turns out, and this actually explains this theory. The man's name is Antonio, and the dog's name is Hank. Those are the names. And that makes sense, the man's name being Antonio, because when they sing Mockingbird Hill, Henrietta says this. That actually makes a lot of sense. And when you listen to this show, and you listen to the songs in context, a lot of it does make more sense. You know? You wouldn't get that on the edited version. You wouldn't. You'd get the songs and you get a little bit of chit-chat, but you wouldn't get the whole thing. So that I find that fascinating, because I didn't know this thing existed. And so... And also, one more thing. Well, I was going to do this. I was going to play this for you guys right here, right now, because I bet you want to know what else is said on here that's not on the show. And I thought, well, I could do that, but then again, let's go one step further. Now, I got some good news and I got some bad news with this. The bad news, well, it's not really bad news, but, okay, here it is. You're probably wondering, okay, AB, you have the CD, why not program this back into them if this is the full thing? Well, here's why I can't do that. 2 reasons. One, the reason they switched it in the first place is because they want $0.25, now $1, for 1 song. Because if we did it the other way, it would be $3 for the whole thing, which I know sounds better, right? But that was the whole reason they switched it anyway. I wish they had left more of the conversation in here, but they don't. They cut a lot of it out, because there's a lot more talking in here in between songs. So, can't do it for that reason. And the second reason is, I spoke to the guy that usually works on them, and he told me, he said the way they're programmed, because again, this is technology that's like 35, almost 40 years old, because these things were made back in the early 80s. You know, Pizza Time Theater and all that stuff. So, the way you would edit this stuff in those days was, it was basically like editing on a computer. Every hand movement, eye movement, mouth movement, torso movement had to be done with the song, with the program. So if we put this in, we would basically have to reprogram everything. We would have to add mouth movements to the dialogue. I have no idea how to do that. No idea. I would love to do that, but I can't. I don't know how to do that. So we're going to have the 1998 show, basically the normal show, because I didn't know this existed. But they obviously played it, but I guess I was too young to remember it. Because after a while, when you're putting quarters in, because the songs are still the same, it's just the dialogue's different. But after you put quarters in, after a while, it all becomes the same to you. Because I was just a little kid, I don't remember, but my dad obviously remembers, because my dad was right about it. So, that's the bad news. We can't put the original show back on them. But here's the good news. Remember in that update video about a month and a half ago, I said I have a lot of footage from like 8 different camera angles of them from 2016? Well, I can probably edit a version of them saying all this stuff of the original show and put that on YouTube. So I think I'm probably going to do that at some point. Don't know when that video is going to be uploaded, because that's a lot of footage. That's like 4.5 hours worth of footage. Because like I said, I got the whole show, all 7 songs, from 8 different camera angles. close-ups, wide shots, tilt shots, pan shots, shots up close, shots on the banjo. You know, it was a lot. So yeah, so I'm gonna wait to do that. But if you guys want to hear what's on this thing, I'll play a little for you right now. I'll play you Rocky Top. Now, if you know how Rocky Top starts out, it starts out with the drum roll.
Yippee-yi-yay! Welcome to Wonderland. Beer, that is. Sure hope everyone's having a great time. Here we go.
Okay, here's how Rocky Top originally started out. I'll play you a little right now. Listen to this.
Yippee-yi-yay! Welcome to Wonderland. Beer, that is. Sure hope everyone's having a great time.
This is gonna be a request show.
Hot dog! I request a ride on the log flume.
Not that kind of request, Hank. Song request.
Like they have on the radio?
Right, Bubba. We've done received so many requests
That we decided to oblige with this special show.
Well, you sure heap of nice guys. Oh, you are.
And our firstest number is to Big Mama from Tadpole. Here we go.
See what I mean? So there's a lot of different things that they say. It's a little different. So, and like I said, so this thing has been sitting in that box pre-1998 and hasn't left. It's been sitting there for that long. So I can't believe it was actually still in there. And I've been inside that control box behind Bubba so many times. I never thought to look at this. It was on the top shelf in that box, all the way in the back corner, covered in dust. And thank God it was in a case, right? Can you imagine if it was just sitting there in dust? So anyway, I just wanted to make a quick little video on that. Well, not really quick. We're at like 22 and a half minutes here. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next vlog, next video on my channel, and at Wonderland Pier. Talk to you guys later.